someone doing follow-up, even if it means creating an extra institution that is like the watchdog, saying so and so is the offender, we go after that. But if we keep doing this, you'll be lamenting at every conference. Like the conference ends and we are still at the same spot or worse, because climate change is moving ahead of us in terms of its deterioration without any adequate mitigation.
All right, Ambassador Shelgate, there's a lot of talk here about the politics of it, but there's also a dimension of the economy and all of that. Where do you see COMESA, for example, or IGAD, the EAC, some of these regional bodies, what do you see as their role being, one in generally dealing with the question of climate change, but more particularly this question of economic diplomacy, leveraging on what we have in order to access the resources that are needed? For example, I think there's been an enumeration of the many times there have been agreements about this and that fund, for example, the adaptation fund in Copenhagen, and all of that, even back with the conversation is going to be all about money. How do we leverage what we have to get what we need?
Yeah, Joe, maybe before I answer that question, just to add to what my colleagues were saying in regard to our role as Kenya, I think there are many people, maybe unsung heroes of our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as enumerated by Ambassador Wade and Ambassador Mbaya, and also Ambassador Zomo, or what individual Kenyans have done, or civil servants. For example, Ambassador Wade here is like a walking encyclopedia on so many issues. He's got a legal mind, and there are issues like the law of the sea and so on. And there are people like FX Njenga. Perhaps nobody probably remembers him. He did a lot of work there. There's people like Donald Kanyaro who are still working in that field. And of course, our luminary Wangari Maathai that you mentioned. So if you look at all these Kenyans, and there are many others, young officers who are working out there, and I don't think we've had a deliberate policy to really bring up a cadre of experts in this field of environment that could help us negotiate. So coming back to the economic issues is also a matter of negotiation, because we need to build that capacity to sit in a conference room and negotiate. There were, of course, maybe we may have some capacity in the issues of WTO. The Deputy Director General of WTO, and we were so mighty proud because he was there. One of our own, Amina Mohammed, almost got the post. So you can see the kind of potential we have. Now, that negotiation then would enable us, because we are hearing about a lot of funds given out by developing countries who are guilty by polluting the environment, and they want to give us carbon credits, they want to give us incentives to be able to do conservation. Fine. I mean, those funds, if they are really available, would be very useful, but I think we also need to build knowledge on what it really entails to get that kind of funding. Maybe since you are very interested in personal issues, from a personal point of view, I was involved in a small village hydropower electric station that I thought I could get some climate funding to be able to generate a lot of organizations out there, and you hear about billions of monies that are out there that we can get. So maybe the money is there, or it might not. It might just be a promise. But definitely, we would need to build our capacity to understand how the global financial system in climate really works. And I think more recently, I've seen our Ministry of Environment. Recently, we had a discussion with the Ministry of Environment on that carbon credit finding for energy projects and other projects. So I think we need to really build our capacity in that. Now, coming back to the region, um, yes, like I mentioned earlier, this effort by Kenya to bring Africa together is laudable. Uh, but from my own experience, I worked for IGAD, and IGAD stood for Intergovernmental Authority on Drought and Development. Before I joined it, it was IGAD Abodi, and it was really on issues related to climate and mitigation. Later, IGAD became IGAD with a single D, which is for development, Intergovernmental Authority on Development. You can see well the shift from climate to now multi political issues. So now IGAD, instead of really addressing the issues of